Welcome to the Near Memo, a weekly conversation about search, social, and commerce. What happened, why it matters, and the implications for local.
Okay, well, so you have more time to study because I'm gonna launch into an interesting survey that Leadferno generated using Google Consumer Surveys that was talking about consumer expectations comparing text messaging and live chat in the context of a small business provider, a service provider of some kind. And basically what they found is that consumers, this might be completely expected, they found that consumers had much higher expectations in terms of speed from live chat versus SMS. People were willing to, half of the survey population, I think it was 2,000 US adults, half of the survey population said that they wanted a text response from a business within 2 hours. But the other half said that they were fine with same day or next day. And by comparison, in the live chat context, almost 3/4 expected a response in 2 hours or less. And half of them, meaning half of that group, wanted 50% of the, that's actually 50% of the, it's a lot of people. I'm sorry, I'm getting tricked up by the math. A lot of people want a response within minutes. Okay, so most people expect a live chat response within minutes. And then when people discover that your chat is offline, sorry, there's no bot or no human, they tend to abandon websites. So this really just goes to the larger proposition, which is that it's very important for business owners to respond to chat, to texts, to email, and to reviews in a timely way. And these all have different kind of expectations and standards. One of the things that I cited in the newsletter that's pretty interesting is a 2020 study by Places Scout found that only 19% of 2+ million GMB profiles had review responses, only 19%. And I know from research that we did at Uberall while I was there, that small business customers were much better about responding, and maybe Mike, you have data to add to this, responding to reviews than enterprises. So, in general, people are doing a poor job being responsive to customers in a timely way, and those that are tend to get the business and get the revenue versus those that don't.
So I do have comments about this story, unlike David's. Firstly is full disclosure, I am an investor and an advisor to Leadferno, so I just want to be transparent about that. But I've been working with a couple of legal clients who had this problem on their websites of too many poorly qualified leads coming in through chat and through the phone. They had done so much SEO over the years and so much good content, they were getting inundated, and it was overwhelming their ability to respond properly. And what they ended up doing was putting in Leadferno in both cases, get the phone number off the top right big number of the site, putting it down small lower left, and driving people to their form where they could get properly enough information that they could properly qualify the leads. The lead quality skyrocketed. The calls coming in from GMB directly went up about 10%, not related to this, independently, but those leads were properly geographically qualified because they were in market. They were having a lot of problem of out of market leads. So by switching away from phone calls and switching into a slight store and forward communication, they dramatically improved close rates and lead quality. And they literally got rid of their phone call and needed less people to staff. So it's very dependent. The other point about this is very dependent upon the industry you're in, the speed with which you need to respond. And I think for a legal case, people expect you to be somewhat more circumspect and ask for more information. So for them, it was an ideal solution to switch away from phone and chat into a more slower process using text and forms.
Yeah, I think
that a lot. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as a consumer, it makes sense. I mean, initially I was sort of surprised by the finding, but then as I think about my own behavior and more broadly consumer behavior, the nice thing about SMS is it is asynchronous. And so I always have my phone with me wherever I am. And so it doesn't require me sitting in front of a computer screen waiting for the ... dots to appear to let me know that somebody's actually responding to my question. It is I think SMS is a more respectful way to interact with your customers, just because it doesn't require them to sort of always be there. And that's the same frustration that I have, magnified 1,000 times when I have to wait on hold on the phone. It's eating up time, whereas an SMS is something that allows me to, go back and do other priorities and get a response when I have time to read it and respond when I have time to actually do it. So I think I don't know. Again, it didn't necessarily make sense. We think of an SMS as like a really instant kind of conversation, but it actually, in this case, might be better, depending on the business that you're in, as Mike says, it might be better to offer this sort of more delayed asynchronous conversation as opposed to only real time.
Well, what's interesting is that there are just different sort of kind of unwritten cultural expectations around all these things. Email, I think, is the one which wasn't part of the Lead Furnace survey. Email is the one where people take the most time to respond and often are unresponsive. And the expectation is that, probably next day or next couple of days. Text is next, and then live chat is in terms of most immediate or most highest expectation in terms of speed is that on that extreme. Small businesses have difficulty dealing with all the different channels that they have to respond to. But interestingly, in my experience, text is one that they get intuitively because everybody has a phone, everybody's texting all the time. And so that is one where they do a good job. They do a really good job of responding to text.
In fact, Google just reintroduced SMS as a notification message for business messaging through GMB to help increase responsiveness among small businesses to that.
Right, because otherwise you had to have the stupid app and you have to check the app.
Right.
I mean, I guess the app has notifications, but still.
The app never worked if you had too many locations. It would never take, it was broken. The app was broken on that front. So
Google's on is this now its 12th effort at messaging within the SMB context, Mike? How many is this?
I don't know. Ars Technica has done some great analysis of all of them. I lose track. There's so many. The other problem I have with chat is that I have so many windows open during my day. I will go into a chat, start it, and then I'll get involved in some other window and a ding will occur on my computer and I have no idea what the ding is. And I'll finally remember the chat like 20 minutes later and the person that finally came to serve me, it's gone. It's for me, chat is really unpleasant, and I'll tell you that I like live chat versus, I mean, if I'm dealing with a bot, no, but if I'm dealing with an actual human, I like live chat in many cases, most cases, much better than the phone. The phone is the most painful. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, the phone is the most painful and the one that nobody wants to deal with.
Thanks for joining David, Mike, and Greg. To stay on top of the latest developments in local, subscribe to our newsletter at nearmedia.co. We'll see you next week.